Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ScareLA's presentation of New Haunts on the Block. Please give a warm Southern California welcome to your moderator, Mr. Leonard Pickle. And panelists, Todd Schroeder with Evil Twin Studios. Lauren Lewis with Alone and Existential Haunting. And Greg Curtis with Savage House.
Ciao!
Slow one.
Welcome. The haunted house industry looks like it's a very easy way to make a dollar. I mean, it looks like a gold mine in some people's eyes. They drive by a haunted house on the the Saturday before Halloween. There's a line wrapped around the building. They immediately multiply the number of people standing in line by 31 days in October. And they multiply it by the ticket price and think, wow, this guy is making a killing. The reality is that a haunted house is a business just like any other, and to be profitable, you have to think of it as a business, and it's not as easy as it looks. These gentlemen up here all did a haunted house for the first time in 2014, October, and they have varying stories on how well that worked and on what they would do differently, and hopefully we can learn from their mistakes and make sure that we don't go down those same paths again. So without further ado, well, let's start. We have a little video presentation by each gentleman, and so let's start off with Todd.
Good afternoon, everybody. Trying to advance here. If you guys go to the first picture, thank you. So you can't see that too well, but I just got a couple of pictures here. I'll show you of our haunt. This is out in the back of the cemetery. We were flanked up next to a large brick church that we performed our haunt in an old theater that was originally a mortuary built in 1913. And if you can go to the next picture, please. And so the name of our first haunt was, okay, got it, was the Theater of Terror. And it took place, this building currently is a theater and used for small plays, which made it an attractive venue for us to do our haunted house there, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And that's part of the front of it. And I wanted to just show this picture. One of the greatest assets to our haunted house was having young children as actors. Now, we do a charity haunted house. It's not necessarily to raise money for ourselves. We donated it all to charity. And we could have these young actors, and all the reviews online were all about the creepy little kids in our haunted house. And my daughter is one of them right there on the right. And so, let's see. Oh, let me go back one here. This year, that's a shout out to Russell in the bag. He wore that bag for 4.5 hours every night and over his head. But we're doing a new theme. Last year was a Theater of Terror. This year it is called the Raymond Hill Mortuary. And we're going back to the original roots of the building that we're in, using historical significance and then the fictional aspects of it. And my company that I developed, Evil Twin Studios, to go through this process, which we're going to talk about, and the advantages to creating a business, at least an entity, to deal with insurance and those type of things. And so if you could cue the video, I have a little trailer preview for this year's haunt called Raymond Hill Mortuary. we just put that together. Thank you. That really brings up, this is a team effort, and there's a small group of us, Scott Peterson, Russell Eaton, Mike Brunner, Jennifer Bandage, and myself that really put this thing together. And we all have different expertise from putting together video to the creative director side of it to the marketing, and those are some aspects that we'll talk about today, but I'll pass on. So, thank you.
Todd, how big is your home? What's the square footage? Yeah.
Well, it's really unique. We use the theater, which isn't very large, probably 1,500 square feet, but then we use the back rooms, the courtyard, the outside. So we use a lot of space within this theater area, not just the theater itself. And some of it we'll create with mazes, other areas are open.
And what was your ticket price?
Ticket price last year was $12 at the door, 10 online. We're going to raise it a little bit this year. So we were on the cheap side.
All right, thanks. Lawrence?
Thank you. Thanks for being the guinea pig on this device. So I'm with Alone, and my creative partner is right there, Devin Paulson. He's half of my brain, so I'll refer to him often. He's also half the blame if anything goes wrong. We call ourselves an existential haunting. We take the structure of a typical haunted house, but we kind of ditch all the usual trappings of fake blood and guts and chainsaws and insane asylum escapees. Not that they don't have value, but we try and subvert that and do something a little bit different. Make it a little bit more of a psychological haunting. People do go through alone, as the title says. And it's about a 40-minute walk-through experience. It's a full contact haunt. And these are pictures from last year, and I've got a little video from last year as well. Our little teaser promo. You guys want to roll that? Of course, that was last year's promo. We are here doing an abridged, site-specific version of Alone here in this building, booth 113, if you can get a slot still.
What was your square footage? How big is your?
I think it was around 3,000 square feet, right?
And your ticket price?
$40.
$40. And what is your maximum capacity? Being an alone time show, your capacity is lower than the average home?
Well, that's an interesting question. What was our capacity last year? About 1,000 people?
A night?
No. Over the 6-night run?
6 nights, 1,000 people, 6 nights. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. And Craig?
Hi. We opened Savage House in San Diego. There's been a couple of haunted attractions down there that have been there for about 20 years, so we knew we were going up against some people that have been there for a long time and established haunts there that were just fixtures. So it was kind of difficult to come up with an idea on how to be so close to other haunted attractions, but then kind of stand out. So one of the things that we thought we would do is go with a specific theme. And a lot of haunts have different themes in each room, and kind of each year they may change half of the themes of each room and save the other ones and carry them over and so on. We wanted to try and make a completely unique experience by having a theme all the way through, like a storyline or a movie. I have some photos as well, so I don't know if, see if it goes straight up to it. There we go. One of the things that we heard most from everybody was they enjoyed the fact that it was a storyline all the way through, and every room that went through made sense to them as they went to each room. It kind of clicked, they understood. We had I wouldn't say it's a speech at the beginning, but kind of set the pace of everything and the mood of what it was, and when they hit each room made sense to them because they kind of knew it was coming, but they just didn't know what it consisted of. On the left, that's Jennifer Smith, that's my business partner, and she's been involved ever since the very beginning of the idea of putting this thing together. This is actually a museum. Our attraction we did, and it was a perimeter, and went kind of all the way around in a kind of a rectangular horseshoe shape, but down the center on the inside we did a museum. We had some movie prop cars and characters and things like that through it, and made that as a separate attraction. What we found that worked really good for us because we had a lot of husbands and wives and kids that came, and some of the wives didn't want to go through and some of the kids didn't, so they ended up taking them through the museum while the dads and the teens went through and so on. So it actually worked out pretty well to do that. And our entire attraction was all modular, so we had to put everything together, and the only location we could find for our first year was the top of a parking structure at a mall. So we had 3 semis of everything, and it all had to be put into individual pickup trucks and driven up the ramps to the top of the parking structure, one load at a time. You know, logistical nightmare. So it kind of, when you see it, you think it's, you know, in a building and whatnot, but the whole thing was outside, and I think that's actually it. There's a couple more, but and we were just really fortunate that we had a lot of staff that was involved with us.
And what was the size of your home when it was finished?
It was actually pretty big. I think it was about 8,000 square feet.
And what was your ticket price?
$11.
So you're
Yeah,
cheap as well.
and we were in an area that just for the demographic it worked, and we also knew everything we had to do to come in and kind of outshine the other ones and get that attention. So we also did a video too that we have, and I think they have that available if you want to let them know.
Greg, what did you do? I realize that you own Savage Productions, and that's a prop manufacturing company, right? So that you had the opportunity before you decided to go and do a haunted house. We're assuming that there's several people out in the audience that are thinking about doing their own haunted house. What would you suggest that they do between now and opening to get ready for that step?
I can tell you it took us 3 years to make this happen, and it consisted mainly of research. I mean, the amount of footwork involved to make sure you have everything lined up, and you're still never going to be prepared. It's just, I can't even tell you. But everything, when you think you've got it figured out, there's going to be a surprise around the corner, and it's a lot of times it can be a devastating surprise.
I'm so glad to hear that.
What did you do? What did you do the couple of years before, Lawrence? What did you do the couple of years before to prepare for going pro?
Well, my day job is I'm a producer, so I kind of put stuff together. That's just what I do. So really, this kind of came together really quick. We've been talking about doing something for years, and when kind of the idea finally came to us, we just said, all right, this is it. This is the year. And we kind of gave ourselves a year. But, so it was a lot of planning, a lot of concepting, and it just wasn't enough time. So give yourself an extra year before you really want to do it.
What did you do, Todd? A couple of years leading up to you going pro?
Yeah, I was very much a home hunter and wanted to do something on a larger scale, and I had pursued trying to get some locations or a potential location, and it proved to be very difficult and actually kind of just turned me off from trying until I met Scott Peterson, who was willing to try and embark on the journey with me, and we put together our team to do this, but really it's finding a location, created my company so we could get permits, be a little more legitimate with the city when we say, hey, we want to do this here, will you allow it? A lot of cities are used to film companies coming in and all, and I tried to sell it with, it's that type of thing, and so we were received fairly well taking that approach, that by forming an actual business, not just saying we're some random guys and we're going to throw together this haunted house, but take the steps necessary, talk to the city, find out about permitting and fire marshal, that kind of stuff, and then financing it as well.
I'm constantly getting emails from haunters like yourselves that have great ideas and they're thinking about going pro, and they're always out looking for the pot of gold that's sitting someplace set aside for haunters to start their first show. How did you find funding to start your first show?
Yeah, that's a very important question, and I basically look to family and friends. If you have somebody that believes in what you're doing and will support you, I took the approach that I'm going to do as a fundraiser. The advantage of that is you get a lot of discounts. People give you things for free, or they'll give you discounts if you need to. Even Home Depot, supports us. Orchard Supply supports us for getting materials and products. So that really helped reduce the cost, but basically it's funded by ourselves to do this. We didn't go out and get somebody who wanted to invest in the company and make money. And, it's one of those things, we want to see it grow. We want the people who are spending the money and time in our haunt to believe in it and enjoy it as well. So far it's worked out. We tried it last year. It worked well. We made money. Most haunts don't make money the first year, so we're coming back and we're going to do it again, hopefully bigger and better. So.
You made money over your investment? Over
Correct.
your original investment? Great. Lawrence, where did you fund your capital?
We did a Kickstarter campaign for a portion of the budget, but then the rest was we self-funded. Again, we invested in ourselves and in our brand, and that's how we did it.
So you were self-funded?
Plus the Kickstarter,
Right. How much did you get on Kickstarter?
10,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I donated a lot of blood. No, it's family and friends. I agree. And, some of my family and friends, Jennifer Smith, who's walking out the door, my business partner, family and friends, her family, my sister, that's really what it is. And it really is about, I hate to say convincing these people to loan you money, but most of them all knew what we were trying to do. They understood and they had the passion for it. They knew we did too, and they wanted to support it. And so that's where it all came from for us.
So what do you think was the biggest hurdle that you came up against when you were trying to open the first show, to get the show open to the public? What was your biggest hurdle when you were trying to get the show open? What was the biggest part?
Sure. Location is really, really important. There's lots of other logistics, but when you want to do a location, you find a location. A lot of people are kind of scared off, and they go, "Yeah, we want to do a haunted house," and the first thing they think of is either you're going to have a whole bunch of gothic, satanic people showing up, you know, and what kind of riffraff are you going to be bringing in with a haunted house? They don't realize that it's so much family and, you know, that type of thing coming to these events. That's the first thing they kind of go, And then, in addition to that, there's a lot of concerns with liability and, you know, do we want, oh no, we have insurance, yeah, but still, and that scares them off. So there's a lot of concerns with that, and we run into, more than anything else, obstacles with available properties. If they're private, you know, privately owned properties, those people are typically more scared because of insurance coverage and liability. Then you have property management companies that are managing buildings that are open and parking lots, and then a lot of vacant buildings, like you see the Spirit Halloween stores take over. A lot of places don't want to rent you a space for 2 months because it actually affects them legally tax-wise, because it's been sitting there empty for a year, and they can write off that loss. The minute they rent it to you for 2 months, they can't do that anymore. So not everybody's willing to rent you a space like that. So it's really tough, and that's how we ended up at the top of a parking structure.
Lawrence, other than location, did you have any hurdles that you had trouble stepping over?
Yeah, no, I was going to say location. That's the biggest hurdle. I think probably permits, building and safety and fire it was a close call there, but it all went through and we were lucky. But that was something that I wish I had started a lot earlier, was that permitting and fire process.
How did you find your location? Greg was on top of a parking lot. That's an interesting place to put one on. That's the first time I've ever heard of that. But how did you find your building? You were in a building, right?
We just lots and lots of searching, and the problem in Los Angeles, maybe you deal with this too, is that there's so much filming. Locations, they can rent their place for a day for 10 grand because of film production. So no one wants to rent a place for 6 weeks for 15 grand because they can make that in 3 days. So that was definitely a difficult part of it.
Todd?
Yeah, location is definitely challenging, but I think something else to think about is the actors. And we have a volunteer haunt. We don't pay any of the actors, and trying to figure out how to recruit actors and will they be any good, that was pretty scary. You just don't know who you're going to get and will they show up, and we had some challenges with that, but we had on average about 40 actors a night at our haunt, and that we had to get in costume and ready to go. So that was challenging. It took, it was a learning curve.
Where did you find your actors?
Well, we word of mouth, friends, family, social media, Facebook, even Craigslist. There's some of the acting community websites we posted, for casting calls, and got some actual real actors with it, which was fun. So they, did a great job. That was one of the real moments when, the write-up said the actors had heart and, really gave it their all in this haunt. And we're like, hey, all right. Because they didn't get paid a dime. We fed them, but that was it.
Lawrence, how many actors were in your show?
We started with 12. I think we ended at 18, because we needed more than we thought we did. Yeah, we found them through LA casting and stuff like that.
Great.
I think our regular cast was probably, about 18 normally, and it would fluctuate all the way up to 25. It depended on availability. Some people got to work that night, and so one night you'll end up with 5 actors more than you thought, but you want to try to use everybody if you can and make sure it fits in your budget and that type of thing. So we try to make sure that nothing's worse than walking in and having an empty room and one person jumping out.
So you paid your actors?
Yes. Almost done paying them too. No, we did, but it was very, very minimal. We actually really enticed them by, like you were saying, feeding them. We actually found food sponsors that wanted to go hang banners, and every person that bought a ticket, we hand out a flyer for them. They would honor the wristband for a discount at the place that, whatever it was, and if it's Olive Garden or something like this, and in exchange they would bring food, or we'd go pick it up and feed our actors. So our actors actually ate pretty well.
Lawrence, did you pay your actors?
Yeah, we did. That was one of the things I didn't want to skimp on because we didn't want to have the trouble of searching for people every night, and we wanted to lock them in.
What was your biggest surprise, Lawrence? What was the one thing that you didn't anticipate that was the biggest surprise when you tried to open your show for the first time?
How much help you need, how much support you need. And the one thing I also was really surprised was some of the responses from the participants. Some people got angry, some people got scared, some people called the cops. A lot of really surprise. But then, we went into it to really make someone feel something, and some people did, and that's how they expressed it. So that was surprising.
Tom, what was your biggest surprise?
Well, we had lots of surprises. Our opening night, we had a line of, what we did to try and overcome any real challenges was host a private party, and those guests would be allowed to go through the haunt on that night only. It wouldn't be open to the public until the next night, and we had a line of 250 people standing out front because the power went out, and we didn't know how to fix it. And so that took about 45 minutes, and we got that going, but we learned from that, and doing that dry run that night was a big advantage because we learned a lot just doing that. We're going to do it again this year and try to avoid some of the real surprises, but that was one of the power, making sure things work. I mean, I thought I was going to act every night. I usually spend all night running around, checking electrical, foggers, escorting somebody out, whatever it is. So.
Greg, did you have any surprises that you didn't anticipate?
On the plus side, we were surprised at how popular we were because we kind of, I guess, maybe kind of sold ourselves short. We're like, God, I hope people come, and the first night, you're excited because there's 20 people there, but then the following weekend, Jen comes and gets me and says, come here, look outside. There's this big line of people. We're like, this is great. But I think one of the things was we had like probably 30 to 35 fantastic Yelp reviews, and we were so excited to read them every day. But we had this one negative one that literally brought us down 2 stars. We're like, what is this? And it was actually from a lady that was there complaining about the line being too long, and she was there on free tickets that we comped her. Home Depot employee that we bought stuff from and gave her free tickets, and then she gave us a negative review because our line was too long.
That was nice.
Yeah.
The other big piece of the haunting puzzle is marketing. I'll let you guys volunteer and say what you did for marketing, what you would do differently, and how important marketing is to the success of a haunt.
Yeah, I don't know anything about marketing and hadn't even thought about it until my friend Jennifer Ben and Cher said, you gotta do some marketing, social media, Facebook. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. So I let her handle all that. She did an excellent job getting our name out there, kind of branding Evil Twin Studio, knowing we're gonna change our haunt name if we ever do it again in the future. That was the Theater of Terror last year, and changed it this year, Raymond Hill Mortuary. But everything from social media to articles in school newspapers about our haunt. And again, we took that kind of charity fundraiser approach so that people would take notice of us, and that was worked fairly well. But reaching out to the Southern California haunt communities, SoCal Hunters, Theme Park Adventures, and everyone was so receptive because we're new at this and really helping us get our name out there, and people just get exposed and say, hey, there's a new haunt here in town, and let's go check it out. And we started out, I think, the first night, I was just happy again, there's a line, but by the 3rd or 4th night, we had over 500 people coming through and an hour wait, and then it's like, how do we get the line moving quicker? So we did well with that, and Jennifer.
So basically, guerrilla marketing and social media.
Yeah, I think that was a major advantage.
Lawrence, how'd you use your 1,000 people?
Yeah, same as us. So social media, a couple small print ads, and 2 really great publicists. And we ended up with 2 because we hired one that focused, had a lot of connections in the horror genre, and then we realized that since our experience is a little bit different, we needed to target the audience that might respond to it. So we have, I call them a lifestyle publicist, somebody who was a little more into the art scene and had those kind of contacts. So we actually went after some art writers, LA Weekly art writers, and we got a great response going that route. So that helped a lot.
Greg, how did you advertise it?
I'd say the majority of it was also social media. We were fortunate that the mall that we were at did support what we were doing, and they tried to help because they thought maybe it would bring in business for their mall as well. So they helped with that. We have in San Diego we have a publication called The Reader, which is basically the Bible of social life in San Diego, from concerts to everything. So we had a very small ad in there. But it was a lot of Facebook, obviously, and then Twitter. And then we also would go to local events. Like we had car shows that were out by us, and we'd take our hearse, and hand out flyers and things like that. And we were also down at the, another big canvassing thing for us was the Walking Dead Escape during Comic-Con. We'd take our promotional vehicles, hand out stuff. And then we were very lucky, we got contacted by local news to do a thing on the news, which caught us off guard because we didn't think anybody knew who we were. And the new Carrie movie coming out, so we went down and did makeup and did this special thing and did a prom dress drive in conjunction with that, so that helped too.
So guerrilla marketing as well.
Yeah, it was Facebook.
What would you do different if you had this all to do over again? What could you tell our fans here that you would do completely different if you had it to do again? To start from scratch.
Some time to think about that.
Well, just plan enough time in advance to identify a location, and that's the biggest challenge. And we're going back to the same venue, but will that happen in the future? I don't know. And I've looked around for 3 years now and been fortunate enough to find one place, but I don't know that that's indefinite. And so really trying to identify location is so important. That's probably my biggest word of advice. So, you got to think about parking and noise. And, we had the cops come by one night because there's some houses nearby and it was too loud. And, those type of things can be the challenges that you can't get past, with your location. So. Lawrence?
What'd you say, Devin? Oh, yeah. Same thing. More time. Start planning earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can tell you that we started early for last year and literally didn't secure a location until, I don't know, maybe 2 months before or something like that. And then we said, we're not going to do that again. So we got started in January for this year, and had everything all in line for a location, and then just found out 45 days ago that location is down, no longer available. Literally a canceled contract and money sent back kind of a thing. So it doesn't matter sometimes how early you start, and next thing you're like, what? So and we started in January. We had a place in January, so.
Is that me? Okay, sorry.
Showstopper.
What would you say that your event was successful financially this year? And if so, what was it that made it financially? You want to start, Lawrence?
This last year?
Yeah, last season.
It was not financially successful last year. It was successful on a press level, marketing level. We got some great reviews and features, a lot more than we ever expected for our first year out. We gave to newbies to haunt and the horror industry. Was that your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah,
Todd?
we were fortunate enough to actually make money beyond our cost. Again, that was going to charity, but the people coming by, again, they think you're making tens of thousands of dollars by all the people that are standing out there, and they don't really know what goes into it. But we were fortunate enough to make money on top of our costs, and we learned things in our first year to try and reduce costs for this year, so hopefully we'll do even better.
Lawrence, do you have your location for this year?
We do, but we are having some issues, not unlike yourself. But I think it's going to work out.
Good. And great. Were you financially successful?
No, we could have been. We went over budget. If you think you can do it for 20,000, it's going to cost you 40. And if you think you can do it for 40, it's going to be 60. I'm telling you. So there's a lot of things that we did. We wanted to make that impact that first year, but we were on a 3-year plan. We figured it's going to take us first and second year to get everything handled, get all those costs covered, and year 3. So this year is kind of a devastating setback for us because it messed up our 3-year plan.
So your show will not be open this year?
What's that?
Your show will not be open this October?
One more time?
Your show will not be open this October?
Well, no, it's not. It won't be. We don't physically see how it would be possible to do that with logistically to make it happen. We've had people say, hey, I've got a spot but it's so far now, so far into it that there's just not enough time to make it happen. And when it goes back to the whole thing about planning and planning ahead, it's amazing because you could go into a city and they'll say, hey, yeah, we'll be able to push these plans through, no problem. And then it gets, oh, we're going to need you to change this, and we're going to, and we did it. We were very fortunate. We found a backup plan. We had another location that said, hey, we will work with you. We understand it. Yeah, you can have it here. And we were very excited about the location, but it was a different city for us. It was actually City of San Diego. Well, we had dealt with 3 other cities that were in the county and over the past 2 years, and they liked everything that we did. And we walked in with these plans and said, oh no, all this needs to be done by a licensed architect. We went, what? That put the brakes on that, thousands of dollars for that kind of stuff. So it really, really matters where you go and where you're going to do something. So yeah, so we're pretty much dead in the water this year. I hate to say it, and it's a shame because it was so great last year.
Great, well, we look forward to seeing you in 2015.
Yes.
So does anybody have any questions? That's anything that I didn't cover? Anybody, any questions? Yes, sir?
Yeah, you had mentioned locations being difficult, but what sources do you actually look into to find locations to look at? Like, are you hiring somebody to search for locations for you?
I did, because I work in the film business. I have a lot of friends that are location scouts. So I asked for help, and they, on a day they would go out and do a search and find some places. But at the end of the day, we actually found Casa Verde where we had ours last year, and it was just constantly searching. And I don't know, I put in some magic words, event space Los Angeles, and looked at hundreds and hundreds, and we came over that one as we were getting close to being like, maybe it's not going to happen this year, and found it. Went down there, and they were so into doing it with us, and they were very supportive, and it just worked out. So endlessly searching is how we found it. I had like 3 scouts out every couple of weeks looking, and finally it just came up on a Google search.
You can use real estate agents too. I mean, they'll go through that. Commercial real estate agents a lot of times have, properties, and they just want to get someone in there too. And I've had some look around for me. I mean, we were fortunate we got something a different way, but we go out individually. We're driving, and we're like, well, that place looks good. But I've been with a lot of people in a lot of different locations, and nothing's come of it. But real estate agents can help you for free.
There's a couple event planning websites that have a location library that could be helpful.
And I think for us, it's the same thing. There's a lot of driving around and looking at locations, but we were always trying to be very methodical and strategic about, where would be a good location. You can find an empty lot on the other side of town, but are people going to come there? Are you going to be too far away? Are you, logistically, is it good? Is it a bad area? We had been offered places that were in, shady parts of town that we just know that they're not going to come to. So it wouldn't have made sense. We'd have lost money. We wouldn't have gotten the people in. So we focused on specific areas. But and not to say that we were being picky, but we were just being smart. And we didn't want to go someplace that, it wasn't going to work. And so but we walked into places with a nice fancy portfolio and talking about what we do and how professional we are. And we usually got positive response. But they said, yeah, we'll get back to you, and then inevitably you get back something saying, yeah, it's just not gonna work for us, you know. It's like when you go to a mall and you say, here's what we'd like to do in your parking lot, and they'll tell you, oh, we have a credit union car sale that's 3 days, and we get $25,000 for that, for 3 days in a parking lot of a mall. So it's amazing the amount of money that some of these places get. And for us in San Diego, we even contacted the Qualcomm Stadium because it sits there, you know, such a huge parking lot, $7,000 a day. So.
There's a question back here. Yes, sir. How many days do they work with the actors? Yeah. Before opening night? How many days do you work with the actors before opening night?
Well, about 10 minutes. Yeah, we were on the shy side on that one. We didn't spend a lot of time with the actors, so we had some that were just bad, but we got rid of them pretty quick. The majority of them were very good, so you know, this year we're gonna have an audition day, a couple of them, just to get an idea of the character of the person that's gonna be in our haunt. And you know, again, we have small children. We even had a 5-year-old play a little clown that was outstanding. Yeah, she was creepy. But you know, we didn't screen her, but you know, you have some adults there, and everyone acts a little differently when they're in costume. And so it's important to get an idea of who you're working with so that they can really help out your haunt.
Being a nonprofit haunt where you can get away with not paying your actors has its own challenges, because not only they don't have to come tomorrow night. It's not a job to them. So you may be dealing with somebody that showed up 10 minutes ago and you're opening in 5 minutes.
Yes, and we did that. You know, sometimes we had someone pegged for a particular role. Also, they didn't show up. We had to throw someone else in that role, and that was stressful.
Sure. Any other questions? The first guy.
Yeah, what do you all do about going about construction and storage?
I can start with that one. I'm fortunate in that I have a large piece of property where I live. I'm in a very rural area of San Diego, so we have a great area. It's kind of why I moved out there, so that I'd have the feed of that. But we have semi-trailers that we picked up, and all of our construction, I mean all of it, is done off-site at our place. Panels, props, I mean everything that we think we can do and transport to get it there, we'll do it ahead of time so that when we're there, because where we were at, you literally get 2 weeks for setup. And they don't even like that. They don't want it to take that long. Can't you, they think you're gonna put up this tent, it's gonna be done in, 12 hours and ready to go. It's just, logistically, being a portable temporary place like this, you can't do that. And so, we have everything pre-built, ready to get bolted together and everything, and stored in semi-trailers, and that can often be difficult too, because the temperatures destroy stuff on the inside. You got latex props, and you open the trailer after 6 months, and faces are hanging off, and things are like broken, and you can buy some of them at our booth if you're selling them.
So the gentleman behind.
Yeah, how long do you allow yourself for construction on site?
Well, we have about 3 weeks on site with our operation. We got a 6-week window. 3 weeks are haunt nights, and then the previous 3 is setup. So, but we try and build, everything we can off site. We take measurements, and we build it off site, planning on bringing it in and tweak it how we need to make it work. So 3 weeks on site.
We've had to do ours around planters and all kinds of stuff. When you find a spot, we say, yeah, send me a drawing of what you want to do, and take measurements. And ours last year, we literally had a planter in the middle of the haunt that we had to measure. It's like, you walk in and there's a tree. Why is this here? But yeah, and you have to do it, otherwise you get out there and you have surprises. So lots of measurements and everything to make sure you have everything when you go out there as close to. And ours was on a parking deck, and it was like, this is like an aircraft carrier, flat as a pancake, but it's not, because it's actually bowed like this for rainwater. So we're doing this and building it, and our walls are like hanging like doors, like shims and everything underneath there. Yeah, where do you put all your stuff?
Storage.
Yeah, we have storage problems. We're outgrowing our space at home in a friend's airplane hangar, so we're challenged by that, and we're trying to figure that out now.
Questions? Yes, sir.
Where do you guys get most of your ideas? Like, try with expanding?
Where
Yeah,
do you get your
that's-
ideas?
Creative ideas.
Where do you get your creative ideas
and,
from?
I mean, that's the challenge we have. We changed our hunt. We want all new ideas, and so I've got a creative team, and everyone throws out their ideas and trying to say, oh, that'll work, or that's not feasible, or could we build that? To give you an idea, Mike Brunner designed on the 7th floor. If you get out of the elevators on the right there, you'll see one of our scenes from our hunt that he designed and set up. We set it up here for a little display. And so we all have different areas that we're like, oh, we got this one gag or scare that we want to do, and so we work on that ourselves with some input from others, and then collectively we just bounce ideas off each other and try to come up with. You want to do things that are unique and successful, but something you don't know until you try it. We've got some fun things planned this year that you guys will have to check out.
Questions? No more questions? It's a huge brain trust up here you guys need to be talking to. How many people in the audience are planning on doing a Halloween event someday in their lifetime? How many of you plan on doing it this year? This year? Do you have a location?
Yeah,
Don't have funding?
Yes.
Good.
Don't let us be the turd in the punch bowl. There's challenges to do this, but I'd encourage you to do it. I was really bummed out when I was going to use the location. I was working for 6 months with the state of California to use the location that Rob Zombie had for Michael Myers' house in his Halloween remake. And I was working with the state. I was hoping to get that contract, and after 6 months of negotiations, they pulled out, and I was really bummed out on that, and because I was looking to do my first haunt. I didn't even have a team together yet, but I was going to use that house and make it a real haunted house, and thought I'd get a lot of people there. But look, by the time I got a location and got something going, we were successful, and we're coming back for year 2, so it can be done. It is challenging, but I'd encourage you to do it.
The biggest asset you have doing it in your first year is naivete. Not knowing what's in store is the only thing that allows you to put your head down and charge forward and get through it. So, if you're going to do it at some point, you just got to pull the trigger and do it, against all odds.
Yeah, I was letting you read your article until after I did a haunt, because I probably wouldn't have done it. But it was very accurate.
Good. Yes, sir.
I know you guys said you did mostly guerrilla marketing, but what percentage of your budget do you actually put toward marketing?
That's my social media marketer, the dark arts right there. She wants lots of money. I think I gave her what, $10 last year? $125.
Boost your post on
Yes, that's
Facebook.
about it.
So,
And they drove an attendance of how many?
We had
a total,
Yeah.
just over 2,500 for 8 nights. So that was pretty good. A lot of word of mouth. Yelp helped. People read the Yelps, but it's really word of mouth and getting out there, tweets here, and some Facebook posts, but we didn't spend much money on that at all.
A lot of people that are thinking about getting into the haunted house industry, kind of think it's just a haunted house. How hard can it be? I got some props. I know how to scare people in my garage, and so they just go out and start doing it. And the reality is, it's very difficult. I've had lots of my friends that should have known better, should have asked me a question, but went out, did a haunt, lost their life savings, ended up losing their house, sometimes losing their spouse over trying to do a haunted house. So make sure that you're funded. Make sure that you have a business. A haunted house is a business just like any other business. It's a 3 to 5 year payout. You can't expect to be making a profit on the first year. And if you can't get to year 2, you can't get to year 3. So you can't be profitable unless you've got some money in the bank. Make sure that you're funded. It's always better to wait to another year or even a 3rd year before you get going to make sure you've got plenty of money to make it happen. But I'd like to thank my panelists, Todd Schroeder, Lawrence Williams, Greg Curtis. Thank you for sharing your insight for us. You guys will be around. I'm sure they'll be happy to ask any other questions that you might have. Thank you for your time.